Hello students, greetings from Dr. Hital Dalal. In the lecture series of the chapter Transportation, today we'll take up the lymphatic system. Now this video I'm uploading after quite a long time. So how are you all? Doing fine? Staying indoors and all fine? Now how are your studies going on? You can send your queries and suggestion in the comments and I will look into the matter. Please like, share and subscribe. And we start with that note, we start with today's topic, that is the lymphatic system. Although this is very small topic but very important one. Now what do you mean by lymphatic system? What are the components and their functions? Along with the diagram we'll take up step by step. Now lymphatic system is open circulatory system. That means it releases and collects system and it has no central pump. In blood circulatory system, if you know, there is central pump, that is the heart. Now lymph is the fluid that circulates in the lymph vessels, and the movement of lymph is due to squeezing of smooth muscles and the skeletal muscles. Now what are the components of lymphatic system? Number 1, lymphatic capillaries, lymphatic vessels, lymph nodes and lymphatic organs or lymphoid organs. And here you have to remember the flow of lymph is only in one direction, that is towards the heart. Now lymph. What is lymph? It is a colorless fluid similar to the plasma of blood. It is almost similar to plasma with few exceptions. Now it contains less proteins than blood and it is devoid of red blood cells and platelets. This is very evident. If there were red blood cells, then the fluid color would not be colorless. So it is devoid of RBCs and platelets. You have to remember it is lacking RBCs and platelets. Now let us understand the mechanism, then we take up the other details. Now in this diagram, this is a blood capillary. This is the arteriole. Now we have done blood vessels in the previous classes. So you know artery keeps on dividing and forms arteriole. So I can write over here artery, and from artery there is formation of arteriole. Now this is blood capillary. So arteriole moves like this, bringing in the oxygenated blood, and these black circles which I have drawn, they are the tissue cells or the body cells. Now in between the cells, see, if I am drawing the cell like this, there is a gap, there is a space inside, and this is the intercellular space. Okay, so there is space within the cells and that is the intercellular space. This blue part, this is the capillary. Now as the blood is flowing like this, there would be exchange of gases and the concentration of oxygen decreases. So the blood moving over here now is deoxygenated time and it moves towards the venules. And you know how it is going to move further, that is veins. Okay, and basically if I say this is the heart from which the largest artery, that is aorta, has emerged. This is the aorta, and from aorta there are arisen are various systemic arteries. Okay. Similarly, it would be same over here. Systemic veins. And here there would be the SV. See, that is the superior vena cava. As you must be knowing this, we have done the structure of heart now. Now what happens? The blood flow, the blood is moving in the blood capillary like this. And the wall of blood capillary has many pores in it. The wall is porous. There are gaps in between the cells. So what happens? The fluid moves out. It diffuses out, or you can say it leaks out, and it gathers or assembles in between this. That is the intercellular spaces. And you all know capillaries end up on tissues or organs. So this is what is happening. The fluid that is flowing, the blood that is flowing in the capillary, out of that, some of it is leaking out or diffusing out or coming out and accumulating or gathering in between the cells. That is intercellular space. And the rest of them is moving ahead. Now, only that components can filter out according to the pores. The larger molecules, that is the large proteins, RBCs and platelets, they cannot come out and they move ahead in the circulation. So, whatever filter out is having almost the same composition as that of plasma. There are three things which are differentiating. That is, there is very small amount of blood proteins and it is lacking in RBCs and platelets. So the fluid that is accumulated over here, now I hope you are understanding it, that is not having RBC, platelets, and it has small plasma proteins. The smaller molecules and the quantity is also very less. Now, as this fluid is accumulating in between the spaces like this, here, so this is called as interstitial fluid, or you can say tissue fluid as it is at tissue level, so or tissue fluid. Some also call it extracellular fluid as it is outside the cell, but that is in general term. It is better you don't call it, and you can also call it as intercellular fluid. Now, when there is a large accumulation over here due to hydrostatic pressure, this will then start moving into this. The green colored structure over here is the lymphatic capillary. So the fluid from here then starts entering into this lymph capillaries, and now then it is called as lymph. Okay. So outside it is known as interstitial fluid, tissue fluid or intercellular fluid, and it belongs to the class that is extracellular fluid. This lymph is extracellular fluid. Now, as it starts accumulating in the tissue, then due to the hydrostatic pressure, then it starts moving inside this lymphatic capillary. You can see here this end is closed and this is the open end. So these lymph capillaries are called as blind-ended capillaries as it is having one end closed. So this is going to move further ahead. So that is the reason why we had written it moves, somewhere I have written it moves slowly, okay, and it moves only in one direction, that is it is unidirectional in flow. So this is the direction it is going to flow towards the heart. Now how is the progress? I'll explain you. Now is this clear? I am repeating it once again. The blood moves into the blood capillaries. There are pores inside this blood capillaries through which some fluid comes out and that lacks RBCs. Yes, second is platelets, and it has some amount of small blood proteins. Now this fluid that has gathered in between the cells, that is the intercellular spaces or the interstitial spaces, is called as interstitial fluid, tissue fluid or intercellular fluid. This then moves into the lymph capillaries, and now once it is inside, it is called as lymph. Now what happens? We took up the first component, that is the lymphatic capillaries. Now so many lymphatic capillaries are there in the body, and then they merge and form the lymphatic vessels, the bigger one. And there are lymph nodes. And then from lymphatic vessels they form the lymphatic ducts. From the lymphatic ducts, they put the lymph into the subclavian vein. They put it in the vein, and that vein's name is subclavian vein, and this then drains the fluid into the superior vena cava, and that ultimately brings it to the right atrium. So I am repeating the course of lymph once again. From the arteriole, this is the blood capillary, then it moves into the tissue fluid, then this again moves, then this tissue fluid, interstitial fluid, once it enters the lymph capillaries, it is called lymph. Now so many lymph capillaries form lymphatic vessels. Now lymphatic vessels drain the lymph into the ducts, that is the lymphatic ducts, and from there it is emptied into the subclavian vein, and this subclavian vein then puts it into the superior vena cava. This superior vena cava then empties it into the right atrium. So that is the mechanism of formation of lymph and its course. So here I have written lymph capillaries, then it is lymphatic vessels, and then there is a one word more, that is lymphatic ducts, large veins, and finally that is the superior vena cava. Now there are lymphatic nodes, the third component over here, lymphatic nodes, otherwise you can call them lymph nodes. Now they are found at intervals in course of lymphatic vessels. So they are maximally found in the groins, that is where the thighs are attached, the roots of thighs, armpits, and in the neck. So many times you must have noticed you get some infection and you feel some swelling in the neck, and even you feel it is sensitive, tender. So those are the lymph nodes. Whenever there is infection, these lymph nodes are very active. Okay, and they are found in several parts of the body. Now, what is the importance of this lymph nodes? Now, this lymph nodes, it produces lymphocytes. If you remember, it is a granular kind of WBC. It also produces plasma cells and macrophages. So, these lymphocytes They are important part of immune defense system of human body, and they produce antibodies. They fight against invading microorganisms and any foreign body, okay, by producing antibodies. Now these plasma cells, these are cart-shaped cells, like a wheel of cart, like this. And they also produce antibodies. Coming to the next cell, that is macrophage. And if you recall, I have told you previously, monocytes, when they leave the circulation and enter the tissue fluid, they are called macrophages, and the function of macrophages is to engulf the foreign material or microorganism by phagocytosis. So plasma cell produce antibodies, lymphocytes also produce these antibodies. You have learned in your earlier classes that there are two kinds of lymphocytes, the B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, and they play a major role in immune defense system. So that is about lymph nodes, and what happens when lymph is flowing. So these are the checkpoints. So when lymph is passing, much of it is absorbed at lymph nodes. At least 4 liters of lymph flows in the human body per day. So this lymph is absorbed, some of it is absorbed, and over here these cells, lymphocytes, plasma cells and macrophages, if there is presence of any foreign body or microorganism, they kill it and make it germ free, and then allow it to go further, as this is after all going to drain into the large veins and finally into the heart. So that is regarding lymph nodes. Here I have written, see, lymph is filtered here. Filtered means it is made free of any debris, any foreign body or any microorganism. Supposing this is a human body, I am drawing a very rough figure. You must have noticed in your textbook, and there are several lymphatic capillaries moving like this. These are the lymphatic vessels formed by merging of lymphatic capillaries, and then you see dots drawn over here like this. So these are nothing but lymph nodes, and from the arms also they come like this, and there are dots like this. So these are the lymph nodes. So this is moving upwards. So while it is going this going further in its course, the lymph nodes filters out all the debris before it enters into the large veins. So that is the function of lymph nodes. And there are several lymphoid organs in our body. You should at least know the names. First is the spleen. Then there is another important organ, that is thymus, but this is active only till puberty, and gradually after puberty this starts regressing. And this location is behind the sternum, or you can say the breastbone, between the two lungs. And if you recall, it also produces a hormone called thymosin. The name is thymosin. Now, other than spleen and thymus, the other lymphoid organs are tonsils over here. Then Peyer's patches, these are the lymphoid patches, few of them found in small intestine. The lymphoid tissue found in small intestine, those part is called as Peyer's patches. It is found in bone marrow, and this is a little debatable, but appendix is also considered as lymphoid organ. So these are the important lymphoid organs. Now we take up the functions of lymph. Now lymph takes up the excess fluid that has diffused from the blood capillaries and puts it back into the veins, that is into the blood circulation. Now, if you imagine a lots of blood, this fluid has accumulated at any tissue or part, then what is going to happen? That part gets swells up. There is swelling or edema on that part. So, when this excess fluid is put back into the circulation, that prevents the body or the tissue from getting swelled up. So it takes up the excess fluid that has diffused out from blood capillaries and puts it back into the veins. Now we have discussed lymphocyte fight against the invading microorganism and foreign bodies and produce antibodies to fight against infections. This also we know. It maintains blood volume. See, we know that in blood circulatory system, the blood volume is about 5 to 5.5 liters, right? Now, the fluid is diffusing out from the blood capillaries. Some of the fluid is diffusing out, and that is resent in the form of lymph back into the veins. So that is maintenance of blood fluid. I told you on daily basis about 4 liters of lymph is put back into the veins. Other than that, when the fluid is oozing out, diffusing out from the blood capillaries and collecting in between the intercellular spaces, it keeps the tissues and organs of the body moist. You know, for diffusion, there should be the tissues should be having, they should have the fluid inside them. For easy diffusion, fluid is necessary. So actually the gaseous exchange, nutrients exchange between the blood capillaries and the tissue is through this fluid. This is the tissue cell. Okay. And the tissue fluid is over here. So nutrients and gases come over here and then they are taken up by the cells. So the actual gaseous exchange, nutrients exchange happens through this fluid. Other than that, it absorbs fats from the intestine. In the first chapter, nutrients, we had learned that fats are absorbed by the lacteals, that is by the lymphatic capillaries. So I have written it absorbs fats from the intestine after digestion, and this happens in the intestinal villi. You remember the finger-like projection in the intestinal lumen. And then the lymphatic capillaries over there, as they look milky, they are called lacteals. You have to remember this word. Lacteals are found in intestinal, that is the lymphatic capillaries in the intestine. So these lacteals are present, and these lacteals release the absorbed fats into the bloodstream. So these are the 5 functions of lymph. And this is a very small topic, but you do get questions. What is lymph? What are the functions of lymph? What are the components of lymph? Or maybe a short note on the lymphatic system. Now I sum up once again very briefly. What is lymphatic system? Open circulatory system, as it is releasing and collecting fluid. No central pump, unidirectional flow, and there are valves like veins in lymphatic system. It prevents the backflow, and the movement is due to squeezing exercise of smooth muscles and skeletal muscles. Supposing if you are actively exercising, then the movement of fluid would be much better. Then the components are capillaries, lymphatic vessels, lymph nodes and lymphatic organs. The capillaries will merge up and form lymphatic vessels, and these vessels then empty the lymph into the ducts, and there are lymph nodes, and these are the checkpoints, and there are several lymphatic organs or lymphoid organs. Now this is the definition. I have repeated it quite again. Colorless fluid and just devoid of RBCs, platelets, and the amount of proteins compared to blood plasma is less. Now this is the flow. Then the lymph nodes, I told you, they are found in armpits, groins, and in neck. Other than that, they are found, but maximally these are the location of uh, more finding of lymph nodes. And the function is mainly lymph is filtered over here, as it is having lymphocytes, plasma cells, and macrophages, and these are the functions. And this is the diagram which you should learn. The green colored part is the lymphatic capillary, and this is the blood capillary. So this is interaction between blood capillary and lymphatic capillary. So students, the chapter circulatory system, or you can say transportation related with human physiology, ends here. In the next upcoming video lecture, I'm planning to teach you excretory system. So please stay tuned. Do like, share and subscribe. You may post your suggestions and queries in comments.